Hello, good afternoon, crap to cream. So today is a good day. So I'd just like to do a shout out for Pat, Robin and Karsten in regard to the stuff that was going on behind me last night with the steering column and the steering rack and the nightmare that I thought I was going to face. So when I left here yesterday, I was in quite a mood, and yeah, the more you think about it, the worse it gets. So like by the end of play last night, I had myself taking the cross member off, grinding off the steering rack mounts and then re-welding them, and possibly not even bothering with this rack and putting the power steering rack on this car. I talked myself into a spin. So I had a friend, Blue, rest in peace Blue, my friend, and when he got to a situation like that, he always said, just have a drink and a think. Well, I don't drink, so I had a lot of thinking to do, and yeah, my thoughts initiated by Pat, Robin and Karsten about what to do next. And I remember that I had some play left in the steering column inside the car, so this morning I let the bolts go on the steering column, just let them go loose a little bit, not loosen them completely. And I then put the steering column back in and everything just fell into place. So after I'd finished doing cartwheels around the yard, I came back and I had a look at things, and it says in the instructions just to let the rack rest and then make shims appropriately, so I did. So as you can see now, I got a 5.3 millimeter shim in here and a 5.1 millimeter shim in the back, and everything, and I've got two 1 millimeter ones here at the front, and things just fell into place. Everything worked. I've got to grab my light here. So as you will be able to see now, I have a bucket load of room up there. I have clearance in the rack to the steering engine mount. So yeah, I did use the persuading tool just a little bit on that top rib, just to give it a little bit more, but in the end I didn't need it. So yeah, good on you guys. Thank you very much indeed for your input, and yeah, it all did work out. So it's all finished now, and just to be on the safe side, I put a couple of shims underneath the steering rack where it went through the engine mount, just in there, just to make sure that I maintained a millimeter clearance as a minimum. But as it was, yeah, didn't need it because it just all worked. The other thing that I didn't do quite right was when I lifted the anti-roll bar off, I turned around to face the bench and put it on the floor, and then when I picked it up as it was, so the two mounts were on the wrong side. But anyway, that's all been corrected now. So anti-roll bar's back, everything's all tightened and torqued up. Just thought I'd show you what it looks like finished. And now I've bled the brakes. They went real easy, so everything's all good in regard to the brakes. Everything looks good there, and none of the pipes are touching anywhere. So that looks all good. No leaks. So right, I will take it out for a bit of a test drive now, put the wheels back on, take it out for a bit of a test drive, and I'll give you a bit of feedback as to what that was like. So yeah, a gentleman called Daniel asked about why I didn't do a complete reassembly of the cross member and then put it all in one piece. So one of the reasons is I'm working on a hoist, and if I reassemble the whole cross member and I've got all the hub assemblies on, it's quite heavy to lift onto the gearbox stand in the first place, and if anything did happen and it fell off, it wouldn't be very good. It might damage and bend and break stuff, so I didn't. And yeah, I did do it before, and I ended up having to take the nuts off the bottom to get access to the front pads on the cross member, and that didn't go well either. So this time I decided I'd put the cross member on and then build to the cross member. And in all honesty, that was easier. I found it easier in my situation with the hoist and things. It was just easy to put it all on and then use the weight of the car to compress the springs. So when I did the first rebuild, I didn't have the engine in, and I had to tie a block of bricks around the engine mount to hold the car down with the extra weight to get enough weight to compress the springs. So that's why it was easier this time, because I had the obviously engine and gearbox in. But without the engine and gearbox in on a hoist, there's a really good chance you'll tip the car over the back and you won't compress the springs because there's not enough weight in the front of the car. Anyway, I'll get the wheels on and I'll take it out for a bit of a test drive, and we'll see where we go from there. Again, thank you very much indeed, gents. That was a great assistance. I was yeah, not feeling the best last night when I left the shed, but it looks all right now. Ready for a test drive. So I'll speak to you soon. So here we are, out for the test drive. It's only when I get in the supercharged V that I realise the difference between normally aspirated and the supercharged. There's a significant difference. It's a lot quicker than the other one. And I know some of you not too keen on the old MX-5 gearbox, but I quite like it myself. So I will say, right, the steering is significantly different in a good way. So it is a lot lighter and a lot more responsive. I've still got the steering wheels right because it's slightly after having it disconnected, but that is different. I didn't know whether I'd be able to tell the difference or not, but you definitely can. It really is, yeah, it's got a better feel to it, and it's definitely lighter. I can spin the wheel now with one hand, like wax on, wax off, which, yeah, never used to be able to do that before. I won't go far up here. I'll turn round at the next road and see if I can show you how much easier it is to turn round. So I missed that road because it was focused on other stuff. Oh, there's one there. Okay. So, I don't know whether you can see me doing that, but that I never ever used to be able to do that. That's the only way I can judge that it's lighter. Be interesting to see what tyre wear is like or whatever. That's what that ends up like. But it's a lot better. Now I would question whether I need to do the power steering and the castor correction on the other car, or just do the power steering. I think I'll do that first. and tips on how to make it better. Really appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks for the comments. And yeah, as soon as I get myself into a position to